Hi everyone, it's Sierra, and in this video, I am actually 14 weeks pregnant. So when you're seeing this, we will have just announced that I am pregnant and we're expecting our first baby. We are so happy and so excited and just so thankful. We are still waiting a couple more weeks to actually post the news. We still have some of Kevin's family members that we need to tell. Lucy's leaving. So we're also going to be taking some pictures next week. I got a really pretty dress that I'm excited to wear, and I feel like just a couple days ago my bump started showing, and so I'm really hoping it'll get even bigger next week or by next week when we take our pictures, so that I actually look like I'm pregnant in them. So yeah, by the time you're watching this video, we will have posted those pictures over on my Instagram, which is @thehomeblondie. So if you want to see those pictures, you can go look at them there. But the reason that I wanted to share this video at the same time that we share the news that I'm pregnant is because this is not something that came super easily for me or for us. And I know if you are trying to get pregnant and struggling, seeing pregnancy announcements can be a little bit sad. Even when we found out and Kevin was asking, when are we gonna tell people and share the news and everything, I just had this thought about how hesitant I was to wanting to post it on social media. Of course, I knew I would and I was excited to do that, but at the same time, I was I know that sharing my happy news is gonna make someone else feel sad. So I was trying to think of how I could share the news and still make it be really happy, but also let people know who are in the same situation that I was in, that they're not alone. And I was a little hesitant to do this video because it's such a sensitive topic, and as you can tell, I'm trying not to get teary in this video. But yeah, I don't want to say the wrong thing, and I also don't want to give any advice because everyone is so different, but I just want to kind of share my experience and what I did, and hopefully it's at least relatable to someone, or maybe will give someone hope. Okay, so a little bit about my story. So it took us a year and a half to finally get pregnant, and to some people that might not seem like a long time. I know people try for even longer than that. I, for whatever reason, naively thought I would get pregnant super easily. So I had not been on birth control for several years, and I live a pretty healthy lifestyle, and I have a big family. So I just kind of thought I would get pregnant super easily whenever we were ready. There was a period where we weren't actively trying to get pregnant. We were kind of I mean, if it happens, that would be fine, but we weren't trying. And then we finally were at a point where we were okay, we're really ready for this to happen. So it was basically 18 months of actively tracking and trying, and I'll kind of get into that too. But yeah, I remember the first month that I thought I could potentially be pregnant and took a pregnancy test and it was negative. I was so disappointed and so sad. So I feel no matter if you've been trying for a couple months, even a month, a couple months, or several years, it's really hard to go through no matter how long you've been trying, and it can be just really frustrating and really lonely at times. So if you're currently going through this, don't let anyone minimize it if it's only been a couple months, or if you feel you're being dramatic for being upset about it. You're not. It's it's so hard. And for me, it was kind of all consuming, all I could think about. I know some people would say to me, which I also kind of want to get into this topic of talking to people about this, but I know some people would say to me oh, it just takes a while, or sometimes it takes a year. And those comments are so annoying when you're going through it, because for me, I know that is true, that it can take, some people say, up to a year after you get off of birth control, but I hadn't been on birth control, so I was well, why would it just take a year? I didn't think it should just take a year or just like take a while for no reason. So yeah, basically like just know that you are like validated in how you're feeling in like however long it's taking. Okay, so next I want to touch on like talking to people about what you're going through, because I think the first person who I actually told that like I was dealing with this, like trying to get pregnant and it not happening, was like one of my best friends, and she had actually told me that she was like going through this, and I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm like dealing with the same thing. And yeah, I feel like that was just like really helpful, and I'm so like grateful that she told me that, because it was so nice like having someone to relate to and someone to like talk to about it. The thing that then is like challenging, because this happened with my friend and then also like a coworker who was like going through the same thing as me. I'm having the same issue as them, but then they both like got pregnant and I still wasn't pregnant, and then they both like had their babies and I like still wasn't pregnant. And I was obviously like so happy for them, but it is like kind of hard when you're in the same boat as someone and then they're like off of the boat and you're still on it. You feel like, oh, like why is this happening for them and not for me? My mom knew about it, but she kind of knew I like didn't want to really like talk about it, but she knew like it was going on. It's not like I was like going around like telling everyone about this. I mean, tell people whatever you want, but for me, like I don't really like a lot of people like in my business, and like even with my pregnancy, there's like a lot of things I might share like after the fact. Anyway, like with my girlfriends, it's like conversations that come up like asking like when everyone wants to have kids and stuff. So when they would ask, I would just like be honest with them, like we're trying and it's not really coming easily and stuff. And those kinds of people, like I didn't mind like knowing what was going on. But with like strangers and stuff, before I was like trying to get pregnant, I never really understood why people were like so offended by people asking about like wanting to have kids and stuff. But now that I've gone through it, I really do realize how inappropriate it is to ask someone, like especially if you like are not very close with them. So yeah, I don't really have any like advice for how to navigate those like awkward and uncomfortable conversations that come up. But I will just say that it was really helpful for me to have like those two girls to talk to that were like in the same situation as me. And then like obviously just like telling my mom what was going on. And then like with my friend groups, it was just like nice for them to know, because I wouldn't have even like cared if people didn't do this. But a lot of times, like if one of my friends got pregnant or something, they might have like told me on the side like before they like announced it. So yeah, not like that I expected that of anyone or like needed that, but it was like kind of nice for people to do that. It was just like very considerate. So yeah, that is kind of like how I navigated the whole situation, like socially. I wanted to make sure that I shared kind of what I did like on my own, and then when I like finally started working with my doctor. So I do have like some books and stuff that I wanted to share that I think were like good resources. So let me grab those. Okay, so before I was even like tracking my cycle to try to achieve a pregnancy, I was always just like tracking my periods through different like apps on your phone. And I can't even remember like exactly which ones I used. I know I have used like a couple of different ones. But one was like the Flow app, and then another one was the Kindara app. So there was a point where I was like taking my temperature every day. So that kind of worked well with that app. And when it wasn't like really working, then I started like doing more research. So these are 3 books that I think were actually helpful. So the first one is called Taking Charge of Your Fertility, which is like literally a textbook. So I did actually read the whole thing, but you wouldn't need to. You could just like flip through it and read what like applies to you. But yeah, I'm trying to remember like exactly what I learned from each of these books, because it's been like a little while now since I've read them. But this one, I feel like I really learned like the importance of like optimizing your fertility, and then also how to track your ovulation based on like your temperature, your cervical mucus, and your position of your cervix. So yeah, I would really like recommend this one. I also read It Starts with the Egg. That's what it looks like on the Kindle, or like what the cover of the book looks like. And this one was really helpful to help me figure out like what supplements to take, which that kind of depends on like your personal levels, but it gave me like a good idea of what to look for in a prenatal. It also like talks about some lifestyle things that you can change, like for instance really reducing like the amount of plastic that you eat from, and just like personal care products and stuff like that. So I really liked that one too. And then the last one that I read, which this one I feel like is good for just every girl to read. I don't think you really like need to read this if you are like trying to achieve a pregnancy necessarily, but it is just interesting how you can basically hack your life to go with each phase of your cycle. So I would have to like refresh my memory on this exactly, but there's like basically like different foods you can eat, different exercises you can do, and just like mentally and emotionally what you need during different phases of your cycle. And I just think it's helpful for like every girl to at least like be aware of some of these things. So this one is called In the Flow. And I waited a year to finally go to the doctor. I don't know like where I heard this or why I thought this, but I feel like people do say that like your doctor won't necessarily like do anything until you've been trying for a year. I don't know if that's true or not. Part of me like feels like I wish I would have gone to the doctor sooner, but another part of me has like no regrets in how this all played out, because I truly think, even with like all the things I did, I just truly think it was God's timing. This is the thing that like really makes me so emotional. But yeah, like I just really think that like there were just certain things like in our life that God needed to like set up before we were supposed to have a baby. I just remember like saying to Kevin like the month that I did get pregnant, like before I knew, if I get pregnant this month, then I know 100% that it was all because of God. So yeah, I know it's like so frustrating and so hard to wait, but I feel like that's like the only thing that can really like help you through this, is like having faith that there really is like a plan for you and your family. Okay, so then I finally went to my doctor, which was just like my family doctor, and I requested a pap smear test and like for my hormones to be checked. And I didn't even really know like exactly what hormones. I remember she asked me, she was like, okay, do you know like exactly what you're wanting to be checked? And I didn't know, and she had just said that like she could only do like the most basic like thyroid check and something else. So I got like blood work done for those tests, and everything came back normal. And so she recommended like the next step was to see a fertility specialist. So I decided to go to this specific clinic in my area. And if you like live in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area and you're like curious where I go, reach out to me and I'll like tell you. I don't know that I really want to like advertise all over the internet of like where I go. I don't know why, but the place that I go, and like when I'm describing it, you'll probably know exactly like where I do go if you're familiar with this area. But it's a clinic that's it's more like Catholic based, which you don't have to be Catholic to go there. Like I just consider myself to be like a Christian, and like they don't even ask about your religion or anything, but all the way that they do everything is kind of like based off of like Catholic values, I guess. And so when I first made my appointment there, the nurse practitioner just like let me know that going into like working with them, they don't necessarily not that they don't recommend it, but like they don't do like IVF or IUI or like anything through their clinic. They're more like, I guess, holistic based. This is the part I don't want to say like the wrong thing or like offend anyone, and like I might not even be saying everything correctly, but I got the impression there that they really look at like both the man and the woman like as a whole and try to get to like the root cause of like why you're not able to make a baby. And that is really what I wanted. Like I really just wanted to know if there was like something wrong with me or my husband that like we could fix, because we are hoping to have like more children in the future. And I just like, if there was something wrong, I wanted to know now with our first one, so that like hopefully it won't be as difficult having like the rest of our kids. So anyway, I was like so happy that I went there and that they were like really going to look into all of the details. And even though I had like already had those tests done at my other doctor, she like recommended that we just completely redo everything, because they even go as far as like checking certain hormones at like certain times of the day or certain times of your cycle, or like making sure that maybe you didn't like eat anything before you had the level checked and stuff like that. I feel like they really follow like best practices and don't cut any corners or anything like that. So I've just been like so happy with like the care and the attention that I've like gotten at this place. I only wanted to like put that in here because if you feel like maybe there's more that should be looked into, just like really explore your options and like really be your own advocate. So anyway, I had all of those tests done and everything came back normal. The next step that the nurse practitioner recommended was that I went to this class. It was like an hour class. I don't know exactly what it's called. I'd have to like look at my paperwork, but the main word in this like course is called Creighton, like Creighton. And it's basically like, it's very similar to what they teach in this book, but it's all about how to track your ovulation based on your cervical mucus. So basically like you go through this class and they like explain the science behind it, and then they teach you like what you need to track. Basically you would like track that every single day to figure out when like your body was signaling that you are the most fertile. Did that for a couple of cycles, and then like throughout doing that I would meet with a nurse practitioner. She would look at it, and then based on like what she was seeing and like how many like days my period was, or like if I had any days of like spotting or whatever, she would kind of like give me feedback on if there were any interventions or anything that needed to be done. So I actually never had to like really do anything. There were times where she kind of like mentioned we might consider adding in this vitamin, or we might do this like supplement. But yeah, I never ended up like actually doing any of that. I was like scheduled to meet with a doctor who would like officially decide those things, and it never got to that point because I ended up getting pregnant. So yeah, who knows if that is why I got pregnant, or if like the vitamins I took are why I got pregnant. Like I don't know. I don't like have an answer of like what actually worked, but those were just like all of the things that I did. Oh, the other thing was like my husband had some testing done too. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was just like a semen analysis, and that was normal too. So yeah, like we were happy that everything was normal. At the same time, we were like a little bit like, what the heck is going on? But yeah, just having that peace of mind was really good. And yeah, other than that, like they say to try to reduce your stress levels, which is so hard to do. And it's like, sometimes you can't even figure out like what it is that is like making you stressed. Like I never really like felt that stressed. The thing that was stressing me out the most was like not getting pregnant. The only things I did for that was like try to go to bed earlier and like try to be off of my phone earlier at night, and just like not have a million things going on every day. I don't know, I just kind of did like little things like that to try to like reduce my stress. Oh, and then the very last thing that I want to share, and then I think I'm finished with this video, is like whenever I did finally go to the doctor and they kept like using the word infertility, that was so jarring to me the first time that I would see that in my chart, or like they would like use that word like to describe what I was going through, because I don't know like the actual definition of the word infertility, but in my mind I always just kind of thought of that word as like not being able to get pregnant, like ever. Like you're actually not able to get pregnant. I don't know, I never like really like associated what I was going through like with that word. But yeah, I guess like they just kind of use that as like a diagnosis, or I don't know, I guess maybe that word just refers to like any period of time like struggling. But yeah, I just remember like seeing that and being like, wait, does that mean I actually like cannot get pregnant? But I don't know, I might sound stupid while I'm saying this, but I just wanted to mention that, because if you like go to the doctor and they say that or write that in your chart or anything, don't freak out, because I was kind of like in my mind freaking out, and I was able to conceive totally like naturally or without any intervention or anything. So there is hope for you too. And yeah, like I said, don't take any of this as like advice. I am just sharing my personal story, and I really hope that it was helpful. I do plan on sharing like more pregnancy related videos. I don't want like my entire life and identity to become like everything to do with being pregnant. I still want to keep sharing house projects and stuff like that. I haven't shared anything these last 14 weeks because the first trimester, like it was a lot, and I am going to share like parts of that. Yeah, so look out for that. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with another video. Bye.